Car dealerships miss around 23% of their inbound calls. That's around 200 calls per month going unanswered. And with 85% of those customers taking their business elsewhere, that's over $2 million in lost sales every single year. But what if you can have a system that can answer every single phone call, check your live car inventory, and actually book test drives automatically? Hi, my name is Edmund Chen, and having implemented AI systems for almost 20 different businesses at this point, including a $250 million restaurant chain in North America, I've seen this exact missed call problem destroying revenues all the time. So today, I'm going to show you how to build a full AI receptionist for car dealerships. Not just a basic chatbot that can send calls to voicemails, but a real-world system that can search your actual car database in real time and answer questions like, you have any blue 2024 SUVs under $40,000? Capture lead information and book the test drives directly into your calendar. First, I'll show you a full demo. Then I'll walk you through step-by-step live. And if you want my agency to implement something similar to your car dealership, you're more than welcome to use the link in the description to book a free discovery call with me and my team. If you're new to this channel and don't know who I am, my name is Edmund Chen. I'm an Oxford Maths graduate and I've been running my own AI company, Legacy AI, where we've been helping different service brands improve their sales and customer retention through different conversational AI systems, like the one you're seeing in this video.
Hi, thanks for calling Carzoo. My name is Sarah. How can I help you today? What brings you in? Are you looking for something specific or just browsing?
I'm just looking for a car for my son. He's having his birthday next week. He's having his first car actually, so I'm just exploring options. What do you have for me?
That's really exciting. What a great birthday gift. Is there a certain type of car you think you'd like, or maybe a budget you want to stick to?
Probably like, a used car is fine. Probably anything less than $30,000, maybe. Probably something, like that.
Yeah, for sure. Let me just take a quick look. We'll be with you in a second. I found a few great options under $30,000 for your son. There's a 2021 Volkswagen Jetta for about $21,000, a 2020 Nissan Altima for just over $22,000, and even a 2018 Ford Mustang for $28,500. Any of those sound interesting, or would you like to hear about more?
Knowing him, like probably a Nissan is fine. Like, can you talk? Yeah, can you talk to me a little bit more about the Nissan actually?
Of course. The Nissan Altima is a 2020 model, so it's pretty modern. It's a mid-size sedan, really comfortable for daily driving, and it's known for being reliable and good on fuel. It has a CVT transmission, which makes it smooth and easy to drive, great for a first car. Does that sound like something your son would enjoy?
Maybe, probably. Is it a new car or is it a used car?
Good question. It's a used car, so it's already had a previous owner, but it's still in great shape. That's why it's priced lower than a brand new one. Would you like to come by and see it in person? We offer free test drives if you want your son to try it out.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Great. To set up a test drive, could I get your name and email? And do you have a day and time in mind that works for you and your son?
Tom Smith. The email is test@gmail.com. I'm thinking, how about tomorrow? Can you do, not tomorrow, sorry. How about next Monday, actually? Next Monday at around like maybe 2 p.m. Are you guys free? Do you have a slot?
Let me just take a quick look in our calendar. I will be with you in a second. You're in luck. Next Monday at 2 p.m. is available for a test drive. Would you like me to go ahead and book that slot for you and your son?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Perfect. You are all set for Monday, November 24th at 2 p.m. I have sent the details to your email. Thanks so much for choosing Carzoo, Tom. We'll see you then.
Bye. So let's actually have a look at how we actually think about building something like this. Now, if you're a car dealership, you probably have something like this in your database or in a spreadsheet or Excel, where you actually have the entire car inventory, like the stock information of what cars you have, right? So that's what you actually put on the website, right? So let's say like you have like, a column with all the different IDs. You have the different brands like Porsche, Ram, BMW, right? You have the different car brands and you have all the different car models that you have exist right now in your car dealership. The year, of course, category, right? Is it a sedan? Is it electric? Is it a hybrid truck? The price and the description, right? Of course, like you can actually do it a little bit more specific for like, the engine size, like the engine types, etc. But I'm just going to put it in general description for now as a demo. And of course, you have the URL to actually see the car itself, right? And you have the status like new, CPO, or use, right? These are the different categories for now in this demo. I have 30 fake data right now in this car database. Now, the thing that we're going to build this voice agent is using something called VoiceFlow. Now, if you're having around check in this channel, you must have seen a lot of VoiceFlow video that I did, a lot of VoiceFlow tutorial. Watch to the end to actually see the full tutorial for this video. But for now, I'm just going to go through the build very quickly, right? So first of all, again, with any kind of receptionist builds, I kind of covered this in multiple videos already, but there is something called lastEvent.payload.userNumber. Basically, this piece of code actually allows us to extract the user number because right now it's an inbound call receptionist, aka people that you don't know, the customers are calling you, right? So this code basically allows you to know what the phone number of the customer is, right? Similarly, you want the AI to have knowledge of what your phone number is. So this will be done through the lastEvent.payload.agentNumber. That basically, again, gives you your number as a context to the agent, right? And again, it's very good because we're dealing with appointment settings for test drives. It's very useful for the AI to have knowledge of today's date and time. And that is done through the VF/now, right? So this variable basically tells you today's date is 20th of November right now, and the time is 1 a.m. 30 for where I am at the moment, right? So that will be the date time right now, right? Depending on the user's time zone, of course. And then after setting up these environment variables, then you go to basically what we call an agent step, which allows you to build this kind of AI agent, right? So this is the main receptionist. And inside the main receptionist, you can basically have a big prompt of this, and you can call different tools to achieve real world actions, right? So in here, I'm just going to go over quickly the main prompt. Now, first of all, we give a role. You're Sarah, the helpful, warm, and professional sales agent at Carzoo. The goal is to have a natural conversation, help customers' car finds in their inventory, and get them to book a test drive. Greet them by asking what makes them want to contact us today, right? So do you have the voice and language guide? Because remember, you are speaking on the phone. Is this very different to texting? So you need to let the AI know, like, what does it mean to sound human, right? Use contractions, for example. No man down, for example, right? It's a bunch of different things you can add in, but I'm just going to keep it brief for now. And then you basically let the AI know, okay, what are my core behaviors, right? So I'll have conversation first. Do not call it to immediately if the user just say, hello, I want a car. Like, just like, for example, you need to ask clarify questions, right? What kind of car are you looking for? Do you have a budget in mind? Tool usage, only use the query tool only when you have specific details, right? So what this basically does is like, okay, we have the conversational flow of discovery, of asking the user what they want. Once we have enough information, then we move to the next phase, which is inventory search. See how I'm structuring the prompt? It's like phase 1, do this. Phase 2, do that. Phase 3, do that. It's very step by step. You need to be very, very specific about your business logic, as in like how you want the conversation to go. You need to be step by step, explicitly tell them with as much details as possible, right? And this is where this is important. We have a tool called Query Inventory. This tool allows us to look at the car database that we have set up and find the most relevant cars that will suit the user, almost like a car recommendation, if you will. Now, there are two ways of doing this. The first way, well, most YouTube videos will teach you, is to dump the entire thing, download as a PDF or CSV, plug it into the knowledge base, right? Here, in the knowledge base, you can just upload a data source and just upload a file, right? Whatever, right? And then you just tell the agent, oh, wow, okay, I have the agent, I can just turn on this knowledge base, right? And then they will answer the questions, right? I'm here to tell you, hopefully you'll learn something today, is that this is one of the worst things you can do in a situation like this. Like, forget what the YouTube people are basically telling you, like, oh, just use the knowledge base, right? For RAG, right? No, this is not a use case for RAG. What you have here is a highly structured data set, right? Like, you're a car dealership, you have very specific information, like the model, like the engine, right? Like the year, like the price, and the status, right? It's a very, very structured data in a spreadsheet. These are not like unstructured text, like legal document or like long PDFs you need to upload, right? If your car dealership has like a long PDFs, sure, use a knowledge base. But like I'm telling you now, that's the wrong way of doing it. And that's what most people you will see online telling you to use the words knowledge base. Don't listen to them. Like this is not how you're supposed to do it. The way that you're supposed to do it is first of all, actually import this spreadsheet into a proper database, which I'm going to be using Supabase. Now, the reason why is because the way that the knowledge base works, you might have heard that term like appearing so many times. How it works is by semantic search, aka which like source from within the knowledge base has the closest semantic meaning, right? So the closest relationship to what the user has just said. But just because two things are very close semantically doesn't mean that's the correct information, right? Especially if I have a budget. So if I say like, hey, do you have a car under $30,000, right? Technically, $31,000 is semantically close to $30,000, right? I think you would all agree to me that $31,000 is very, very close to $30,000, right? And it's actually much closer to $30,000 than, let's say, $10,000, right? I think you'll agree with that. So if you're using the kind of simple way of what people tell you using knowledge base, just turn this on and just plug it in and just let it do its magic, what it will happen is it will start looking for information like $31,000. It might just extract the car that costs $31,000 rather than the car that's actually $10,000, which is the requirement of the user, which is under 30K, right? So this is the little things that just using a very simplistic knowledge base and just not really understanding how it works and just do it how it's usually done, it's just incorrect, right? So I hope you're kind of aware of that. So the way that you would do that is if you're a car dealership right now, you have this kind of spreadsheet. First thing you should do is you get Supabase, which is the easiest thing you can do. All you have to do is you can set up a table, like set up a new project, and you just import, basically download this as a CSV. So you just click download, click that as a CSV, and then you just import the CSV inside here, right? You just create a table, and then you will just have a CSV like this, right? Now, all you have to do now that you have all the information, I have the ID as an integer, I have it make as a data type text, model as a text, year as an integer, category as a text, price as a number, description as a text, and URL as a text, right? Now, all I have to do, like to actually allow the agent to query that is use something called SQL. It stands for Structured Query Language. Now, you don't need to know what that is, right? It's just some sort of technical jargon. So what it is just a more efficient way to very, very effectively search for information in a spreadsheet that's really structured like the car dealership inventory, right? So this is exactly what we're going to be using today in this query inventory tool. Use this tool to search the car dealership's live inventory data. You trigger the tool when the user asks about, like, say, car prices, availability, cars of specific features, filter by budget, etc. It's a SQL query. And the way that it works, if you want to have a look at how it actually works, is basically you take an input, the LLM, once you finish the discovery, it looks for the inventory, right? Using the query inventory tool. And you basically explain to the AI what this tool is, right? So you always have access to a live database of the cars through the query inventory tool. You should always use this tool when the user asks about the price, the availability, specific features, and comparisons. And then you have the data schema, right? You have all the different columns, etc. And then you basically set the rules of the SQL, return only raw SQL text. You're being very specific, right? And you basically give some examples, right? So do you have any forward that's less than 30K? You basically return a SQL language, a structured query language in this form, in code. This is basically code, right? So what this does is basically filtering all the car in the inventory where the maker, right, is Ford and the price is less than 30K. So if these two conditions are true, then it will retrieve all the cars from that database back to the AI, and the AI will say it to the human, just like you saw in the demo, right? So this is actually what allows you to accurately recommend cars to users based on very specific logic conditions. For example, I'm looking for a white SUV. Then you do the same thing, right? Where the category is like the SUV and description is like white, right? For example, right? And then you just, this is basically how you structure the query inventory tool. Again, you set an input variable as the SQL query, and then you just go inside the tool. It's just like inside the API. What you want to do essentially is you want to go to this Supabase management API, right? So if I just look through this doc, I highly recommend you to go to this doc, API for run a query. What it does is you need to just copy this URL, and then based on back to your Supabase, you have this kind of project ID, right? So you just copy this project ID, and all you have to do is just paste this project ID in here, and now you've got the URL to actually call the database, which is Supabase, to retrieve that information, right? So this is just a standard API call. If you don't know what that is, it just means a way to communicate data from one place to another, right? So we have the post, and then you have the URL, right? So the API.supabase.com, as I mentioned first, you just basically have to copy this, right? Just copy this and paste it in here. The content type has to be application JSON. Again, don't worry if you don't know what that means. It just means that our data, so telling to the Supabase that basically all the data that I'll be transmitting to you will be in the form of JSON. And we have an authorization, which is like an API token, which you can just set it up within Supabase, right? You just go to settings, and then you can just set up API keys right there, right? This is pretty self-explanatory, I hope. And then from there, you can just structure your query, which is SQL query. Again, this is a variable which you have set inside here, which is agent collect. That means that no value has been provided, and the AI agent itself will come up with this variable. So that's why we were like having so much information inside this prompt, which is we're just basically asking the LLM, right, with the SQL rules, how to come up with this variable called SQL query. And the LLM itself will turn the user's questions, right, in text format into SQL, essentially, to query those data, right? And yeah, this is pretty self-explanatory. And then you have the inventory search. And then once you retrieve the information, basically saying, hey, wait, by the way, I just got like back the result. As you saw in the demo, these are the options. The user chose the option. And then you would try to close them. Basically, it's a sales thing where like, okay, well, let immediately offer free test drive, right? So then you basically, if the user say yes, and then you check for the availability. And to check the availability, this is where you collect the leads information. You collect their name, you collect their email, you collect their time, and the date that they're available by using this check availability API tools. And again, if you've seen my previous video, I use this a lot. Basically, this connects to an NAN workflow. If you don't know what that is, NAN is basically an automation workflow platform that allows you to do a lot of kind of in the back end, a lot of availabilities, checking, calendar booking, a lot of manual processing that can be automated. That's connected to our VoiceFlow AI agent, right? So in this case, I'm just setting up a check availability tool, right? So this is connected to my Gmail account, and all it does is basically the AI agent is it within NAN. If I can show you the prompt, it's basically checking the appointment availability, determine the user's time zone, check the availability using the check empty slot. Because it knows the booking date and time that the user wants, because we're passing information, again, through the API call from VoiceFlow to NAN, we're checking the booking date and time, we know the name and email, and we're just using this prompt and the tools, the calendar checking tools within NAN to check for available slots and returns the results back to the user in the forms of check results, right? So that's why we were having like analyze check results. If it's unavailable, it looks like the time is fully booked. If the check result set is available, then great. You basically want to confirm by saying that, hey, this date and time, like, are you available? Like, just to confirm. And the user will say yes, like I just did. If the user say yes, then it will actually go ahead and book the appointment to your calendar. And again, this is done basically through the book test drive API, right? So use this tool when the user confirms that the date and time is all good, and they would like to confirm to book that slot for test driving, right? So again, you provide the date, the time, the email and the name, and then again, you basically send it to another NAN agent to actually connect to the Google Calendar to book the appointment, right? So again, you're sending this to this AI agent right here, which the prompt is to book the appointment, is confirm the availability, because it has the name and the email. So you can just send an email invite to the to basically remind him of this event. It has context of what today's date time is. It has context of what the user wants in terms of the date and time, which they have confirmed, the location, name, and email. Using all of that information, it's going to go ahead and actually go ahead and book the appointment by using the book appointment Google Calendar tool available in NA10, that's going to create the event, right? So if you can go back to my calendar, you can see that I booked for Monday, 2 p.m., Tom Smith test drive, right? This is where I created the events within the calendar, right? So this is actually how you can do the booking of the appointments, right? So yeah, hopefully this has given you a high-level overview. And I think the biggest unlock here is this obviously just a demo. It's like, don't just always blindly listen to what other people tell you to just plug everything within the knowledge base. I think there's a place for that, of course, in the production settings. I think you should do both, realistically. But not everything has to be just put it in rack in the knowledge base and put it in the PDF, plug it in the knowledge base and call it a day, right? There are more sophisticated technique to actually allow us to accurately recommend cars like to the customers when they're calling, essentially. So hopefully this gives you an idea of how this actually works. And if you want something similar, like a more sophisticated system like this being pushed into production into your car dealership, you're more than welcome to use the link in the description to book a free discovery call with me and my team. And yeah, if you enjoy this type of content, remember to like, comment, subscribe. We've done lots of voiceful videos like this. So yeah, feel free to stick around and I'll see you in the next one.